Now, this thing is crazy. It's hopping between blocks, for those of you listening, and its knees and joints work just like a human's. It flips backwards and lands on its feet. It is the craziest thing you've ever seen. It looks like one of these nonsensical CrossFit people who are jumping onto those blocks, and then it does a backflip off of it.
The big advantage, though, is this one can't bring up the fact that it does CrossFit within the first 30 seconds of the conversation.
You combine this with Elon Musk's OpenAI project, which beat the, what is it, Overreach, the game?
Overwatch,
rather, sorry. Overwatch. They figured out how to beat all Overwatch players, like almost immediately. Google beat Go. So you take Google beating Go and OpenAI beating Overwatch. You add it to this robot operating in the real world in hand-to-hand combat, and you just give this thing, I don't know, a sword on one arm and an AR-15 on the other, and this thing would murder. I mean, if you think the mass shootings we've had now, this thing would murder many, many more people than any human being ever could. How are we going to regulate this kind of technology? And because if Al-Qaeda, they may not be the brightest, group of people currently, but this technology feels like it's going to be available in the mass market soon, and drones are certainly available.
Yeah.
And drones can be sent in with bombs on them now. I'm surprised we haven't seen a terrorist attack in a major...
They've already been used, and the Taliban have already used them in... ISIS, have already used them in the Middle East. They've taken commercial things and they just drop a simple mortar shell.
So we haven't seen that in a U.S. city, thankfully, but...
We will.
We will.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, how close are we to these things being out there in military use, do you think? Because DARPA was sponsoring this, Ian. Is this the future of warfare? Are we going to see these things on the battlefield, do you think? Because we do see the ones with the tractors that roll and, disarm bombs or whatever.
I've been studying this. I've been following the DARPA contest right from the beginning. For a start, while that's kind of an impressive display, if you actually look at what it's doing, it's using very limited numbers of force. So it's doing a jump and then a twist and a jump. If you looked at the last competition they had last year, this thing can't walk over rubble. It's incredibly...
So you put it in the desert, it's on its back.
Yeah, you put it in an actual landscape, it's into trouble. Plus, it's got a battery life of about 20 minutes. So in terms of long-term soldiering at the moment, but drone and autonomous warfare is definitely where it's going because the cost savings, Is
that legal? Is there because we signed an agreement that we wouldn't do chemical weapons, right? I don't know what the actual name of that, but there is a ban on chemical weapons.
There's a ban on chemical weapons, on weapons of mass destruction.
What about robots?
Autonomous robots, which can kill, are already in operation in Korea.
What?
Yeah, they've been doing trials on them to actually... They're not loaded, but as to whether or not it could actually do the job. It's now looking as though there is going to be an international agreement, or at least the UN is pushing for an international agreement on the total banning of autonomous machines that can kill. But it all depends on who signs up for it. And if China doesn't sign up for it, the US isn't going to sign up for it, and vice versa. If Russia doesn't sign up for it, it depends.
We're literally going to Tony Stark Industries level technology, huh, Peter? Like, this is happening in our lifetime. Robotic warfare we already have drones that are unmanned, so we know that, and drones are controversial enough. When you see a drone video, like the one that WikiLeaks had, where they killed a bunch of, the WikiLeaks one was a helicopter, I think.
It was a helicopter, but
but the idea that
they're being used in Yemen and Pakistan.
Yeah, in places where civilians are getting killed, and that is controversial enough. Can you imagine 100 of these things marching into a town and just hand-to-hand combat or close quarters combat, just murdering people who they think are in the Taliban? I mean, how far? We're not far from this, are we, Peter?
Well, I mean, the bipedal stuff is harder, but I think that drones can be remarkably and scarily effective at this. And then I think it's a question of when do we want drones to be autonomous and making their own decisions? Which, with the right level of computer vision and threat detection, there's an argument, which I'm not sure I agree with, that you don't necessarily want to have... There's not always time to have a human make the call. I'm not sure we're there yet. So you're saying if I sent the drone into the compound and there's 300 people there, we know what Osama bin Laden looks like, so the drone just whips in and goes past everybody's faces as quick as possible, and if it sees Osama, it rams into Osama. But if it sees a little girl or
a dog or a mom or somebody who's not Osama bin Laden, it just passes them by.
And so, I mean, that's theoretically possible.
That would theoretically be better than dropping an entire bomb on the place, a bunker buster.
Yes, and I would say that we are getting to a point with computer vision around face detection where you could probably do that, right? You could.
I mean, FaceTime, the face lock, Face ID on Apple's works almost flawlessly. Even in low light.
And so what I would say is that given that the U.S. is pretty much far ahead of everybody else in terms of drone technology and their usage in warfare, that, again, I don't expect the current administration to be having this thoughtful of put something this thoughtful on the agenda, but it's in our own interest, I think, to actually get ahead of these issues, the ethical issues, and to start to put it out there, because eventually other countries are going to catch up, and suddenly we're going to say, "Hey, hold on! We don't want Mexico flying autonomous drones along our border, do we?" And making decisions about who to kill and things like that. Like, maybe since we're ahead, it's like nuclear weapons, right? When we were ahead with nuclear weapons, was the time for us to have a conversation with everybody else around when should they be used, who should have them, what is the ethics around this, and even though it hasn't been perfect.
We haven't had a nuclear bomb drop since we dropped the last two.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that, since we have not really led by example here, that again, I don't expect the current administration to do this, but it would be nice and probably in our own interest to try to take a step back and say, let's have the conversation with everyone else, with China and with other major countries around what are the rules of engagement here? What do we think is allowable? What do we want? What would we not want to see used against us?
It's that time of year again when the days are shorter, so don't waste precious daylight sifting through the sea of search results looking for the right business software for you. Nope. Get home on time tonight with Capterra.com. Capterra.com. Whether you're a startup looking to keep better track of customers or a business that simply needs better payroll software, Capterra's got you covered. Search Capterra's 400 categories of software, and you can discover the tool that's right for your business. From anything like email marketing to scheduling, accounting, and beyond. And let me tell you something. As you grow, you might want to try different services. Different services are constantly coming out. And you know what? One of the big things is I find that new services come out that have more features and at better prices. Capterra makes it easy to find what you're looking for. They have thousands of ratings and reviews from actual software users just like you. Best of all, Capterra is absolutely free. 2018 is going to be here before you know it, so make sure you've got the software you need for your business. You want to do what you do, you just want to do it a little bit better, don't we all? So go ahead and join the millions who use Capterra. That's Capterra, Capterra, Capterra.com/twist, Capterra.com/twist. That's Capterra.com/twist. Capterra.com/twist. Go ahead and check them out and give them a thank you. They are an amazing service. We use them here at This Week in Startups and Launch, and we love them. All right, thanks again, Capterra. Let's get back to this amazing program.